Did everybody sign in? Maybe ask her. Thank you. And here you go. Okay, we can go. We consistently walk every Friday, rain or shine.
You're so well-behaved, Franklin.
When the women are together in a group, they're a spectacle in the community. Like as we walk around the neighborhood, I see heads turn. They're like, what is going on? 20 women with strollers heading down the sidewalk. I feel that it's a very strong message saying, we are here, we are happy, and we are strong, and our children are happy. I really see it as a reclamation of space and land and the community.
Okay, my son, let's go. I do the walking group a lot because it helps with both my sons. It's us time. Good job. Oh, you want me to hold it? Of course, come on. It's weird. Once you stop doing drugs, they think that you're unhealthy when you're doing them. But after you quit, all your health problems come up because they're not masked anymore. So now I'm learning to deal with being sober and dealing with health problems. You're silly.
A lot of the women have come from circumstances that didn't allow them choices. And physical wellness is so crucial and can be so therapeutic for overcoming trauma.
So having these walking groups, it's good because then it gets me out of the house. It's a safe place that I can enjoy some time with my friends, that I can bring my kids, and that's huge. It's huge. Oh, that's so neat.
A lot of the women face a number of barriers in accessing physical activity. So, it's time, energy, childcare, finances. But a big thing that's come in our research is discrimination. We wanted to break down all those barriers that exist for women to provide the opportunity and provide supports for women to be active. The name of our project is Taking Steps, Warrior Women's Wellness. And this name came from women in the community and sort of reflected the goals and ideals of the program. I see my role as a researcher within the community as more of a facilitator. Our program consists of a weekly walking group. That idea initially came from the women as, that's something that they wanted. They wanted a weekly walking group that they could attend and know what was happening. But as we got that started, then women started chiming in and saying, I want to try soccer, I want to try boxing. And so we thought, okay, well, let's see what exists in the community and let's make it happen.
I've learned the basics of boxing, and I think it's very empowering. I think it is a great way to feel strong and powerful, and I always assume like hitting things with violence, I guess, but it's different. It doesn't feel like that.
A lot of these women are undoing a lot of cycles of trauma and unhealthy cycles in their lives.
So addiction, poverty, homelessness.
I am recovering from heroin. I pretty much have known nothing but prostitution, drugs since I was 14. Dropped out of school. I had my first child when I was 14. I have to make sure that I'm safe and my recovery's safe in my mind. So staying healthy is part of my recovery, and I need it to stay safe.
It's been beautiful just to see them to be able to have these opportunities as well as model these opportunities and different activities and wellness and healthy living to their families and to their children.
Through both community-based research and a trauma-informed approach, the goal was to not reinvent all of our own programming. There's already a number of physical activity programs that are happening. And so we wanted to tap into these organizations to look at what's making them successful and then actually hire them to run programming for women in the community.
So Force in the Femme is an outdoor recreation program that was created specifically for marginalized women. So we take women who face a lot of different barriers to accessing the outdoors, and we take them out to experience nature. So we do everything from little simple picnics in beautiful places, or we'll do hiking and backpacking trips, and do it all depending on what the women are able to manage and what they want to do and what they feel safe and comfortable with. And then we have a lot of learning and education sort of infused into our daily activities as well.
So this one is delicious smelling.
Okay.
Have you guys ever smelt it?
No.
Put it in your hand and squish it.
Oh my God.
Can you smell it? Did you squish it?
It smells like pineapple.
The best. It's just like chamomile too. It's really, really good for anxiety.
You know, I really love being around the glacier water. I really like the sound of water. I really like the smell of the trees. You know, I don't really like insects, but I guess they come with the package. It's hard because I suffer with post-traumatic stress disorder. You know, the trauma to me is so real and so fresh. Just being here, you know, like, and having somebody to ask me to come, I wouldn't come on my own. And so this is huge for me. I love it.
Oh, yeah, it's cold.
Our elders tell us, like, you know, it's really great if you just dip your head in the water. Especially if, like, you've been around so much chaos, or, you know, it just helps you heal.
When you're walking through these nature walks, I feel that it's like we're walking through our own paths. We take little paths, big paths, long paths. So I think that's kind of relates to our healing process. Some take longer, some take less, some take long time.
The goal with our research was never just to focus on individual level intervention physical activity. It was to meet the needs of the women, to create accessible programming. But in addition to that, we wanted to challenge some of the systemic and structural barriers that exist. So we've created a trauma and violence informed training session that we will be delivering to various community organizations.
This presentation is to help guide folks, but it's also, there's no one way of doing things.
So we thought it would be interesting if you feel comfortable rating your own organization. And this was just sort of a starting point. The first thing is trauma and violence awareness. So understanding the prevalence of trauma and violence in communities, and particularly in communities like the downtown east side. I think the second piece to that is the idea around safety and trustworthiness. And then a big component is the idea of choice and collaboration. And then finally, strengths-based approach. So building on the strengths of the women, and I would also add, you know, the strengths of the communities. If anyone takes home anything, I want them to think about ways that they can support women in being active, to create more consistent programming, and to provide a trauma and violence informed approach to the services that they offer.
So the inhale takes us back up. We keep our spine long. The exhale takes us a little bit forward, or a lot, whatever feels appropriate for you. I've taken other yoga classes, and I think it can be intimidating. So I think that this class really, I feel comfortable because I know all the women here, and I feel It's a safe space, and the teacher is very understanding.
Stop and rest anytime you feel like it.
And before every posture, she lets you know you have choices in and how you want your body to move, which is super important for the women.
Bring your hands down beside you if that feels comfortable. Turn the palms up if that's okay. And then just start letting one knee drop toward the ankle of the other
Meditating
leg.
and yoga are very tricky to try for the first time. Getting down on the floor can be very difficult that first time. But I think we are able to override that kind of fear going as a group.
And let's go to the other side. So just turn your feet. When we get thrown off either physically or emotionally, we can gain our balance when we feel strong.
There's been many points in my life where I felt like I've come to a blockage and felt bad for just being where I am and not realizing that, learning to be gentle on yourself and to take a moment just to be who you are is very important.
And we're going to use an inner mantra that we say to ourselves. Inhale, I am brave. It's just silently to yourself. Exhale, I am strong.
I see the yoga classes particularly as a prevention versus intervention. Well, I see the whole program really as prevention versus intervention.
And when you're all complete, we'll just rest for a moment. You can bring your legs down, close your eyes, and just take 1 minute to notice the effects of your work.
I feel healthier, I feel stronger, I feel more confident.
Listening to your body, letting your mind be present instead of worrying about other.
Providing a space where we can do physical activity and have childminders and know our kids are safe has given us a sense of belonging to this group. If you provide that, the women will come and they will bring their children, and I think it's essential for building community in the downtown east side.
And we're here.
Where did that thing shoot off?
Downtown east side gets overlooked, but I think that there are a lot of people down here trying to make changes, and a lot of people that love this community and want to see it do well. And I think that's what our program does. We're showing our moms and our families and our kids that we're not, like, we see you. We're not going to forget about you, and you're important, and we want you to be well, and we want generations of your family from now to be well.
I will first introduce Michelle, Francine, and Jessica. So Michelle Paquette is a research assistant at the Health and Wellness Equity Research Group at Carleton and was a super active member on the Community Advisory Board for the Taking Steps project. And so she is here with us today to chat through some questions. Francine Derrick is a co-founder of the Taking Steps program and also principal investigator of the project as well. And then Jessica Webb is also a co-founder of the Taking Steps program, and at the time of the documentary worked at Crabtree here in Vancouver as a service provider, so can lend some really useful insights from that perspective as well.
So I think for me, the biggest highlight was like the confidence and like connection to community that I saw a lot of the participants and the women experience, like the confidence to like you kind of see in the video, this huge group of people like walking tall around a neighborhood that is pretty complicated for a lot of them, and like they were proud to be like taking care of their health, proud to be like participating in the group, proud to like show off their kids a lot of the time. And then I think an extension of that was the confidence that I saw that they carried, because we did the walk we started with walking and then we added some of those other activities, and I think that confidence carried over into them and us accessing all of these different spaces, like walking into a boxing studio. At first we were all a little nervous, but by the end, like everybody was kind of like bursting through the door, like screaming, like talking loudly, calling out to their friends and stuff. And there was, I think the organization that we partnered with really heard the women and what they needed and wanted in accessing that space. So they did feel comfortable enough to be in that space and to occupy those different kind of arenas and rooms. And that was really cool. Like definitely a big highlight.
Awesome. Thanks, Jess. Were there any unexpected outcomes from the walking group that might have been more research related, or whether it's something that happened or like came out of the program that was unexpected?
Yeah, I would say from like a research perspective, we went in with all of these notions about like the data that we wanted to collect, and we thought it would be important to collect like height and weight and all of these like different variables. And within 20 minutes of starting that, we just said no, but we're not doing that. It is not appropriate. It's not helpful in any way. So I think there were a lot of maybe some like preconceived notions about like what we would do and how we would do it from a research perspective, and then just recognizing like, no, this is not going to work in this context. Again, not appropriate. I think for me, the biggest thing, and I don't know that it was necessarily surprising, but it was what brought me the sort of most joy with this work, was when we did the follow-up interviews with everybody who took part. Like there was so much. Initially people were like, oh, I want to get fitter. I want to just be more active. I want to get out with my kids. And when we did the follow-up interviews, it was much more around like the social connections they made. There were new friendships formed. There were people who kind of maybe knew each other in passing that were now going out for walks together outside of the program. And I think that to me was the most powerful thing that stuck with me through that.
Awesome. I think something that happens often when we like talk about some of these like big programs or projects is that like they can sound really easy, or like they can sound really straightforward sometimes when you talk about it all in hindsight. And like I know it's not true for a lot of projects. And I'm wondering if there are any like things you can share, any challenges that occurred that can kind of work to demystify this idea that this was something that was very easy or straightforward or linear.
I think working with a program like this, the important thing is more about being willing to know in advance that there are going to be mistakes, there are going to be hard things, but that you're going to be able to learn from those and then make whatever work you're doing better, as long as you're willing to take a step back and sort of analyze that. I think that's something that we had to do quite a lot throughout this program. It really wasn't a linear process, and that's where like a lot of our learning and being able to pivot to support the women or to change, like just make little tweaks, was really helpful in creating an environment that worked for the women and for all of us.
Can I add one really quick thing?
Yeah.
I think the commitment to consistency is often probably overlooked. Like we did like a little pilot, or we thought we might take a break, but it was like, oh my, no, like we can't, you lose a lot taking breaks like that. And so like we walked like 52 weeks of the year. I think we took time off around Christmas, but like, it took a lot of dedication from all parts to be able to commit to it, so we can show up for the participants consistently, so that they can all have an opportunity to access the programming. So
I think that's especially true for the service providers. You have to be able to be like, you have to be consistent as a service provider and organization to continue offering it, understanding that the participants might not be, but to still be there no matter what, because they're going to show up when it's possible or when they need it or whatever. And if it's not consistent, it just makes it really complicated as well.
One thing we hear a lot about from different folks trying to, start new programming is this difficulty generating buzz and buy-in from both like the community, but then also organizations. And I'm just wondering if any of you can speak to that, like what worked, like why was Taking Steps as successful as it was?
I think, thinking of this like from somebody that was like a total outsider at the time, I was a postdoc researcher at UBC. I think if I had walked in and said, hey, let's start a walking program, nobody would have showed up. I think the buy-in came from having Jess and Robin, who were, frontline workers who people knew and trusted, having them sort of initiate the walking program with support on our end, and then having just having that buy-in at that level, I think is key. I think a complexity is having buy-in from the larger organization, because there are so many competing priorities, and I think that's a bigger issue that we can chat about later. But I'm sure Michelle and Jess have lots to add on to this question.
I was actually just going to say a lot of the same stuff that Francine just said. I think that it was really important to have the trust and the relationships that Jessica and Robin had been able to build with the women that were accessing the program, or that began accessing the program. And so that, I think, was the first step. And then the fact that the program was responsive to the women's suggestions and needs really sort of created a sense of ownership for the women too. And then also that made everybody tell other people, oh, hey, like this program, like you should come join us for this, and we're going to be doing this, and it's so great for these reasons. And I think that really the trust that was built with Jess and Robin started it, and then that really helped snowball the buy-in from the community and the continued support of the program.
I think one thing that's really important, is the time, right? So many frontline workers are filled to the max, and we certainly were at the time that we initiated the program. But we really wanted to do it. We thought it was really important, it aligned with our values, and I think that's we believed in the potential of the program as well. But I think what it definitely became, and what I share with frontline providers who are going to pick up the program, is that it really is a prevention piece, and you really are kind of adding to your list of services that you can provide, because we did a ton of work while we were walking. We were able to connect with people on the walks. We were able to chat or make connections between participants on the walks, and you know, you really saw a lot of benefits that came from just participating in the group that maybe a client would have come to you for support over. So really trying to like align the program with your mandate or kind of like your program requirements is really helpful in kind of figuring out how to squeeze more into your already packed day.